right, can you get out your science books for me and turn to page 135 just to kind of recap a little bit of what we've been talking about in the area of skin. On page 135, you can see the skin of an older man there, and you can tell it's an older man by the hair on his hands. You can tell by the, the toughness, maybe the tough looking of his hands, and the fact that maybe he's using a razor blade or a knife. You can tell by his fingernails that it's not a pudgy hand of a child. And the little inset picture there above the 10, you can see that little boy's got the nice round face, darker skin, and his skin compared to the old man's skin is different because your skin is a living organism. Looking on page 137, it talks about the skin on your eyes, the skin on your elbows, and they're two different kinds of skin, and yet they're all on your body. And the Lord Jesus created you so that he created every part of the skin for a certain purpose, and he created some parts with hair, like most of your body has hair, and then there's some parts that don't have hair, like your lips. They don't have hair on your lips. You don't have hair on the palms of your hands or the bottoms of your feet. But the Lord Jesus knew exactly what he was doing when he was creating. He wasn't like, okay, well, I'm not, it wasn't a mistake. He knew exactly what he wanted. We learned that your skin is loose so that you can lift your knuckles up, so that you can bend your elbow. You have that little bit of skin right there so that you can bend your elbow. If you didn't have extra skin, you would, you have to just walk all the time like that. Or extra skin on your knees. Wherever there's a joint, there's a little bit of extra skin so it can give and not split your skin. We learned that the outside of your skin is called your epidermis. And the word epi means on. So it's on your dermis. The epidermis is the part you see. It's the part that has the freckles, the part that gets sunburned, the part that is quite thin. It's the part that has a mole, or it's the part that maybe gets a scar. And the layer that's below the epidermis is called the dermis. But there's also a layer below that. There is a kind of a curlicue layer down at the bottom. And if you have this paper, can you get that out? And look on number 4. And number 4, you can see at the very bottom, I just made some little curlicue things, but these are your fatty tissue. So your fat is below your dermis. So for number 4, can you write fatty, F-A-T-T-Y, F-A-T-T-Y, and tissue, T-I-S-S-U-E, fatty tissue, and that's what's below your dermis. So remember our picture? Number 1 was showing you the epidermis. Number 2 was pointing to the dermis. Number 3 was pointing to the oil gland. At the base of every hair there was an oil gland, remember that? And number 4 is your fatty tissue. On this side, number 5 was pointing to your hair. Number 6 was pointing to your pore, the pores that open and close. Number 7 is pointing to your blood vessels, veins and arteries and capillaries. Number 8 we haven't talked about. And number 9 is your sweat gland. Remember we said that your pores open and close and your sweat comes out of those pores. Okay, so that's what number 9 is. Number 8 is a nerve, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. So we learned that the epidermis is the skin that you get to see, but the dermis is below. You don't hardly ever get to see that part unless you've had a bad accident where you actually scrape off your epidermis and you get down to your dermis. It could happen. You might be able to see it if you've had a severe cut with a knife or razor blade, that kind of thing. But your epidermis is the part you see. Your dermis is your thicker part, and it's the part where the Lord Jesus hid your blood vessels. Remember I say if you put your blood vessels on the outside of your skin, oh man, you can bump yourself and bleed all over. But he's got your blood vessels deep inside so that they don't. So even if you do get bumped, you don't bleed out, so to speak. All right. We talked a little bit about skin. It keeps you in, and it keeps the bad things out, like chemicals, germs, and water. That's what skin's all about. Remember that? Skin, it keeps you in. Okay, and it keeps out bad stuff. It keeps out the, chemicals, things that might harm you, whether it's certain kinds of solvents like fingernail polish remover or paint thinner, something like that. It keeps out things that would hurt you. Like if you swallowed it, it would make you sick, but your skin can keep all of those bad chemical things out. Like I was spraying the dandelions on my lawn the other day, and I was thinking about, skin, thank you for keeping these bad chemicals out of my body. Now, sure, I wash my hands and all that, but skin was basically doing a good job of keeping that so I didn't get sick. Also, we learned that skin keeps in extra water. Otherwise, if you stood out in the rainstorm, you'd swell up like a toad, and that wouldn't be very good. So skin keeps the extra water out. You could never go swimming. You could never take a bath or take a shower if their skin wasn't a buffer. It keeps extra water out, and it also keeps out germs and bacteria and bad things like that that can make you really sick. So skin is a pretty amazing organ. It's constantly changing. It's constantly repairing itself, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. We talked a little bit about the pores and how they open and close, and they open when you're very hot and it lets sweat trickle out, and they close when you're very cold and makes even a goosebump to try to keep all your body heat into your body. And on page 141, you can see that little baby there. That little baby is cooling off because he's gotten too hot, and so he's in the nice nice cool swimming pool in the nice warm sun. Before we stop here, I do want you to know there's a couple of things. One is that number 8 is a nerve. Nerve. A nerve. You have nerves all over your body. And your nerves are like messengers. They tell your brain how to react. So when you touch something that's hot, you immediately pull your hand back. But what makes you do that? Well, it's the nerves in your skin that say, "Whoa, Bozy, this is too hot. Oh, get your hand away, or you're going to get badly hurt." Sometimes you get hurt anyway. I tell you, I cannot tell you how many times I have gotten burnt with a curling iron, curling my hair. Yeah, sure, you don't get burned up in here, but when you're curling close to your face, close to your back of your neckline, and that curling iron touches you, by the time your nerves get to your brain and say, "Get that off of there," it's instantaneous, and you're immediately burned, and you've got a heal on the back of your neck and the side of your face. Burns are it seems like they happen very quick. So your nerves they make you react. And they're just like little messengers. They send messages to your brain, and your brain says, "Oh, wait a minute, this is hot," or "Wait a minute, this is too cold," or it might say, "Hey, that's sharp," like a pin. Okay, you can put a pin, you can poke it on your arm, and it doesn't really feel that awful. But you poke a pin at the palm of your hand, oh my, then that is really painful. It doesn't take long for your little messenger man to say, "Whoa, this hurts too much. Look at, ow, 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 ow." And you pull that pin back really quickly. Your nerves, you have so many nerves on the ends of your fingers, on the ends of your toes, on the ends of your palms of your hands. Those are you have many, many nerves there, whereas you don't have as many in your arm. Yes, you have some, yes, but you don't have as many nerves. So, because, I don't know, the Lord Jesus just made you that way. So, you can feel with your hands, you can feel, a lot of interesting textures. People that are blind use their hands to actually read raised letters called Braille, because they have so many nerves, and your hands are so specially made that they can feel even fine things, rough things, smooth things, soft things. So your hands are pretty special. It's pretty special. So I want you to memorize these, okay? And you have a little quiz. Mommy's got the quiz there for you. Okay? So I need you to memorize each of those spots. Be sure they're all filled in. All right? And then Mommy is going to give you that skin quiz. And I'm going to give you a quiz online as well. I'm going to give you the skin quiz online. I'll try to work on it tonight, so you should have it tomorrow. And your skin quiz, the one that looks like, the one that's going to test you on that, okay, that will be on Thursday. So you don't have to worry about it. And I'm going to go ahead and write out these words for you so that you have them, so that you're sure that you have the right spots, okay? So let me go take a minute and I'll come back with you in a few.